are the most shocking robberies and holdups.
Grand Prairie, Texas. Late night at a fast food restaurant. Two men wait at the counter. Wayne Moore is here to eat. Tony Swinney, a career criminal, has something very different in mind. Wayne is stunned by the brutal attack.
As I was standing at the cash register, I just noticed out of the corner of my eye that this man was standing at the next register. This fella attacked with a hard punch to the right side of my face and hitting me right below the cheekbone right here.
The savage blow renders Wayne unconscious and fractures his jaw.
Well, I certainly never expected him to do what he did. No time to think at all, no time to react. It just happened.
Swinney grabs his wallet, but doesn't cash in.
My wallet at that time only had $2, so the grand total that he got away with was $2. The randomness of this event was disturbing. I was very concerned. If he would do this to me randomly, he will do this to anybody.
A few weeks later in Waco, Swinney strikes again. This time, his target is Martha Jane Izar, a tough Texan who's operated her liquor store for 33 years.
TJ, all Randy's back here. All Randy's back here.
Martha's grandchildren watch TV nearby. Coincidentally, it's a movie about a robbery. Swinney approaches the counter with a bottle of booze. He has no intention of paying for it.
You know, I had no clue he was going to do anything like that. Everything just like happened just real quick. Blood was just coming down and I couldn't see anything. He told me to get up or he was going to kill me.
What happens next is so violent that authorities are not allowing it to be shown.
And then the next thing I knew, he had picked my register up, cash register, and hit me over the head with it. And then he just kept hitting me and hitting me. He told me several times he was going to kill me when he was hitting me.
But Martha's more concerned for her grandchildren.
He told me to go to the back, and he told me to get in this room and shut the door, and if I came out, that he would kill the kids.
Martha waits helplessly in the back room. Thankfully, the children are not harmed. Swinney takes the money and runs.
When I got the call, I was the first one there. I walked in the front door, and she was sitting in a chair, and she was just covered in blood. The viciousness of the attack, the brutalness of it, it bothered me.
Martha survives the incident with a concussion.
I felt like I was lucky I wasn't knocked out and dead from that first blow.
Today, she safely greets customers from behind a steel cage. Police make sure there won't be a third victim in Swinney's violent crime spree. Thanks to this video, he's apprehended and currently awaits trial. Adelaide, Australia. A popular feature of the Sussex Hotel is a store with its own drive-thru. But this isn't what the owners had in mind. According to Detective Yvette Clark, it's called a ram raid.
A ram raid is when an offender or a group of offenders uses a motor vehicle to gain entry into a business premises.
At 2 a.m., a trio of raiders goes after some high-priced hooch on the store's back shelves. Owner Zach Cicluda says that two of the alcohol snatchers are not old enough to drive, much less drink.
Two of the lads were only probably, I'm guessing, 13 to 14 years old.
After several trips to the car, they decide to shorten the commute.
They get back into the car and proceed to ram right through the whole door and take the door out as well. The structure could have collapsed down around them, could have seriously injured them.
The gang quickly fills up their back seat, leaving the store in shambles.
I found the drive-in basically smashed to pieces. A few of the fridges were smashed, stock all over the place. A pretty big mess.
The group hops into their stolen ride and takes off. The car will be ditched and emptied of its load.
There was about $3,000 worth of alcohol stolen and about $5,000 damage.
But they don't get far. Officers identify the oldest suspect from the video.
We were able to identify one adult offender and two juvenile offenders.
As for the underage accomplices, Cicluna would like some tougher penalties.
What happens, unfortunately, is they get a slap on the wrist and they're back on the streets again too quickly, for my liking.
Hopefully, the arrest will point them in a new direction, away from a life of crime. Bakersfield, California. Donna Mosley pays for merchandise from store owner Donald Batch. They're only seconds from having their lives changed forever.
Give me everything, I won't kill nothing. Everything, I won't kill nothing. Why you give everything?
A man rushes the counter, his face covered in war paint and brandishing a gun.
Everything, I won't kill nothing. Why you give everything?
Donna can't believe the nightmare that's unfolding.
When I looked up in this gentleman's face, he just had his jaws as clenched, like, give me the money, in that type of voice. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is really real, this is happening.
The robber fires a warning shot. And then unloads a direct hit. And another.
I couldn't believe that he didn't even give the cashier a chance to give him any kind of money. He just started shooting.
Donna makes a run for the back door.
I thought, oh, I'm going to get shot because he knew I witnessed the shooting.
The cold-blooded suspect bolts out the front door, empty-handed, leaving Donald for dead on the floor. Donna returns with help and calls 911. Behind the counter, the store owner still clings to life.
While I was laying down there, I could feel heat rolling around inside me, so I thought I was bleeding internally. So I was afraid to move. So I always heard that, you know, if you ever bleed internally, don't move, just be as calm as you can.
Only one bullet hits Donald, but it obliterates his spleen.
It hits me in the arm, and then it hits me in the abdomen, it goes out my back, right through me.
Donald makes a full recovery, but the gunman has not been caught. And that has officers like investigator Fred Calvillo worried.
The biggest challenge in finding somebody in this type of crime is to make sure he doesn't do it again and to get him off the streets to prevent him from killing somebody.
According to Donald, what looked like a robbery might very well have been a calculated attempt at murder.
He didn't take anything. It's like, why? Because he was there to kill me. Next day, I was going to go to court. I was going to testify on a previous robbery that was 4 weeks prior to that. And I think he's part of that gang.
Police have a message for the missing shooter.
We're looking for you, and we will eventually find you. We're not going to stop. We're going to find you and we're going to put you in prison.
Up next, a convenience store clerk comes under attack, and cops suspect it's an inside job. Plus, a thief uses his family as decoys while he steals $2,000 worth of cigarettes. And a gunman holds a clerk at point-blank range until the other clerks turn the tables on his heist. When most sharp, Robberies and Holdups continues.
The Gulf Coast of Florida. This convenience store hasn't been robbed in 7 years. But two men decide now's the time. There are no other customers. There's a lone female clerk. And the store has lots of cash from a long, busy day. But they have a problem. She's on the phone and they don't want anyone overhearing this robbery. So as long as she keeps talking, they keep shopping.
One stood by the door as the other one walked around and acted like he was going to purchase something.
But soon, the clerk senses something isn't right.
Yeah, I'm looking at no, it's been good now for the big bottle. Yeah.
She's not sure if these guys are legit or not, but she knows one thing. She's not hanging up that phone. The crooks finally decide it's a risk they have to take.
All right, they get it.
The suspect actually came around the counter and began violently punching her and pushing her to the ground. The suspect wearing the gloves went right to the cash register and began looking under the cash register, almost as though he may have known that the bank deposit bag and other items are kept there.
The accomplice finds his prize, a black bag with the day's take. Then he and his partner make a hasty exit before authorities can arrive. They escape with several thousand in cash. The clerk survives this vicious attack.
This is probably one of the most violent robberies I've ever had that was caught on film. The clerk did not fight back at all, and that may have helped save her life.
These two men scored a big haul, but they also made a big mistake.
The second suspect touched one of the coolers inside the store, and we did lift 2 latent fingerprints.
Hopefully it will be enough to catch these bare-knuckled bullies before they strike again. Fort Wayne, Indiana. The Ameristore Mini-Mart pulls no punches when it comes to theft. The store is armed with not 1, but 16 surveillance cameras. Director of Operations Haley Arendt keeps a watchful eye.
When you come up to the store, you see the cameras on the outside of the building, you see all the cameras on the inside of the building, there's a monitor there.
Today, cameras roll on what appears to be a typical family outing. A husband and wife enter the store with their 2 daughters. But the father's not out to shop. He's out to steal. With a quick handoff of the kids to mom, Dad is off and crawling. The man crouches down and then heads straight for the storeroom. After swiping $2,000 worth of cigarettes, The thief hightails it out the back door. He sets down the loot and gets the car. But after he picks up the goods, he forgets one important detail. His family.
If there is anything comical about taking your kids with you stealing, is that the whole family's walking around the store trying to catch up with him in the car around the side of the building.
The missing merchandise is discovered the next day, and the 16 security tapes reveal the culprit.
Well, it only takes 1 second for me to get a good face shot of you, and I got you. You're busted.
The suspect's quickly identified and arrested for felony theft. With so many security cameras covering every angle, this store is focused when it comes to fighting crime. Norwich, England. Teenager Louise Moss works the counter of her parents' small store when a man bursts through the door. He's carrying a shotgun wrapped in newspaper and demands money from the young girl. But something to the side catches his eye. Detective Gary Dack explains.
The victim pushed the alarm button underneath the counter, which immediately alerted her parents.
The girl's mother charges the bandit with a wicked body slam. Louise's dad grabs the crook and delivers a punishing chop to the gut. Then he launches himself over the counter, grabs the robber, and tosses him to the floor. He kicks the gunman and keeps him pinned by brandishing a knife.
After the father had wrestled the male to the ground, it was only a matter of time before he was arrested by police.
The robber, Mark Cannon, is happy to be in the protective custody of the cops. In the end, a single petty crook is no match for a family under siege.
Coming up, a clerk gladly opens the register for a maniac with a hammer, but still suffers a brutal beating. And a brazen bandit goes to new heights to score some cash from the teller's cage. Plus, a burglar snatches the safe from a fried chicken joint, but he doesn't have the legs to get it in his truck. That's next on Most Chucked. Robberies and holdups.
Two customers walk into a late-night convenience store. The clerk returns behind the counter to get them a pack of cigarettes. Then one of the men pulls a hammer and gets right down to business. The clerk fumbles with the cash register. It won't open. Finally, the robber gets the money. Then demands the store's surveillance tape. The clerk says it's locked up. The robber turns his attention to a stash of cigarettes. The terrified man thinks he might be out of danger. He's wrong. Constable Shane Moody is shocked by the brutal beating caught on tape.
I couldn't believe it. That's the most violent attack I've seen. He was petrified. He said, yeah, when he was being attacked, he thought he was going to be killed.
Abruptly, the savage punishment ends.
He was lucky not to be killed.
The attacker makes a quick exit. The victim hits an alarm, but it's too late. The crooks make a successful getaway. Or so they think.
The videotape!
The tape airs on local news
The tape, mother...
and has a dramatic impact.
We were all horrified. I think the public was too when their video was seen. And it was actually a family member that dobbed him in, so they were pretty appalled as well.
The clerk feels safer knowing his attacker is behind bars for a long time. It's business as usual at a small check cashing store in southern Florida, when suddenly an unwanted visitor drops in. The daring bandit hops the counter and plows through the ceiling. Two frightened female clerks go running, but not before one has time to hit the alarm. The crook chases the two women, but they escape. The robber returns to the scene of the crime, but the door locks behind him, so he needs to go up and over again. This time, the spider-like thief gets tangled in a web of electrical wires. He pulls loose by taking out the camera's power supply, and then walks out with a bag full of cash. The bold burglar remains free, but police know it's only a matter of time before he'll be dropping in to a state prison. Montevideo, Uruguay. A local check cashing store is about to be cashed out. One by one, three men enter. The first quickly cuts to the front of the line. He draws a gun, then goes for the cash. It's a well-orchestrated heist. As the thief pulls his weapon, he signals his henchmen. The accomplices in the back overpower the guard. One unlucky customer clearly picks the wrong time to enter the store. She's brutally thrown inside. The guard suffers a blow to the head. The thieves take his gun. The ringleader returns with the cash, and the customers are herded into the vault. The robbers clean out the money drawers. It takes less than 2 minutes to break the bank, but only seconds to be busted by the cops. Now the only thing they'll be spending is some hard time behind bars. Hurst, Texas. At 7 a.m., a man pulls into the drive-thru of a Chicken Express restaurant to find it closed. That's just what he was hoping for. This fox is planning to raid the henhouse. He pries open the bulky rear door. Then enters the office and immediately uncovers the safe. So far, this guy looks like a pro. But Officer Todd Holderreed has a different take.
It was at that point that he probably needed help because the safe weighed about 300 to 400 pounds.
The crook manages to muscle the safe onto a chair and clears himself a path toward the exit. That's where the trouble starts.
There's a lip, as most doors have, when you leave the business, where this office chair with a 300 to 400 pound safe couldn't be pushed over. Eventually the safe falls off the chair to the outside of the business.
The thief isn't concerned yet. After all, he's more than halfway home. He just has to get the safe into his truck.
He just basically rolls this safe, flips it end over end, into the parking lot. He goes to grab it and several times tries to lift this into the front seat. At one point, he actually drops the safe, falls forward, and he hits his head on the doors.
The robber has no other ideas, so he tries again. And gets another crack to the noggin. Finally, he's had enough. He gets in his truck and backs away. But he's not giving up. He'll let his undercarriage do the dirty work.
We followed the scrape marks from where the safe had been dragged on the ground for about 4 blocks, probably a good third of a mile.
It looks like the suspect has gotten away with several $1,000s. But when he broke in, he cut his hand, and his blood was all over the crime scene. Police are convinced that evidence will help them catch this criminal.
He obviously wasn't completely prepared for what he was doing. He'll be brought to justice. He'll serve his time. Whether or not he learns his lesson is entirely up to him.
Up next, a madman takes a shot at a liquor store clerk, then locks the workers inside the fridge. Plus, a felon sneaks a crowbar into a sex shop and overtakes the cashier with violence. Then, a gang of professional thieves pulls a major heist in broad daylight. On Most Shocking Robberies and Holdups.
Manurewa, New Zealand. A white and blue-toned van circles the streets outside a liquor store. The driver is waiting for owner Pam Bala and her clerk Paul to start locking up.
We had a very good sale that night, and we were really very happy.
But this hoodlum is about to spoil the mood. He barges in, gun at the ready, and demands the cash drawer. It looks like he's high on drugs.
His eyes were red, and his body language was like he's going to, blow the whole store.
The manic robber orders them to the floor. Suddenly, he reaches over the counter and fires at Paul, wounding him in the neck.
Blood was coming out of his neck, and I really got so scared. I said, no, I'm going to be the next one. They hit him, now he's going to hit me.
Instead, he calmly asks for a bottle of whiskey. Pam and Paul are at the whim of a madman.
I thought I'm dead. This is the end. I'll never be able to see my family or anybody again.
Paul manages to get to his feet. The junkie forces him into the storage fridge. Pam is next.
I says, don't come out of that or I'll kill you.
The clerks cower in the locker. But thankfully, the crook takes off. They finally venture out and alert the authorities. The suspect is soon caught, betrayed by his distinctive van. Paul survives his injuries, but Pam knows some wounds may never fully heal.
I still have nightmares. I still think about it, and sometimes in my dreams I think it is happening again. I tell you, I can never forget it.
Nawanakan Village, Thailand. 3 men exchange a necklace at a jewelry counter, but their attention lies elsewhere. They suspiciously look around, casing the store. The transaction's completed without incident. The men exit, only to return a few minutes later, this time masked and armed with AK-47s. They fire wildly. Terrified workers duck for cover. One thief grabs the gold, while the others unleash a reign of terror. Within 45 seconds, the gun-wielding gangsters escape with jewelry valued at $80,000 US. But at least no one is injured in the vicious surprise attack. Sydney, Australia. A local sex shop. In the infamous King's Cross district, a man browses the shelves of an adult bookstore. But he's not craving an X-rated video. He has a lust for cold, hard cash, and he's going to use a crowbar to get it. After 6 savage hits, the clerk gets hold of the weapon and hangs on for his life. The robber regains control and continues his bone-crushing attack. Then he empties the register. His take, a paltry $200. Before leaving, he gives the clerk one final blow. The bloody victim is lucky to survive with only cuts and bruises. But it's a graphic reminder that some crooks are all too willing to risk lives, no matter how meager the prize.
Coming up, a bungling crook breaks into a liquor store and gets smashed. But first, bold bandits blast through a convenience store, then break the bank. When most shocking, Robberies and Holdups returns.
Perth, Australia. 2 armed men storm a convenience store. Shop owner Rhett McDonald thinks it's a prank.
Nothing like that had ever happened. It's not the sort of area you would expect anything like that to happen. I thought it was a joke.
Then Rhett sees that the robbers have his clerk on the ground.
He held the shotgun to the back of his head and told him not to do anything foolish.
Rhett's in the back of the store. He's quickly spotted and falls target to the gunman.
The man with the shotgun was actually pointing his weapon at me and told me not to move, but my immediate reaction was just to run out the back door and get out of the place.
The shop owner makes a bold break out the back. The armed robber follows, then quickly decides to go after the money instead, taking the entire register. But as the thieves pillage the cash, it's Rhett that cashes in. He finds their getaway car in the alley.
I had no time really to plan what I was going to do, I just took off in reverse as fast as I could.
When the two men discover their wheels are gone, they drop the register and take off on foot. The only injury in the attack is a bruised ego when the crooks find out that crime really doesn't pay. Convenience store ATMs are a classic late-night target for money-hungry hoodlums. At this store, the thieves smash through the front door with a pickup, ripping the machine right off the wall. Then they drag the 200-pound prize outside and load it onto the bed of their truck. This guy brings in a thick steel chain to lasso the ATM. His accomplice attaches the other end to a stolen van. With a quick tap on the gas, the two outlaws rip the machine out the front door. This lone thug is looking to make a solo withdrawal. He violently shakes the ATM, hell-bent on heisting the dough. After a few more vigorous jolts, the culprit cashes in. Within seconds, all the thieves take the money and run. But they really should have taken the store's surveillance cameras. Police are hopeful that they will lead to an arrest in all three cases. Toronto, Canada. Just after dawn, a masked man orders gas station clerk Balvinder Sander into his kiosk. The bandit then pulls a revolver. 6 compelling reasons to cooperate. Sander tries to resist, but soon finds himself eye to muzzle with the silver enforcer. Then, the crook cocks the gun. A final warning. The clerk decides to give him what he wants. But things are about to get complicated. A woman enters. The gunman grabs her as a hostage. It's more than Sander is willing to take. He goes for a weapon of his own in the corner, a baseball bat. It proves a costly decision. Sander takes 2 hits to the arm and abdomen. The criminal runs off, releasing his hostage. The clerk survives this vicious assault. But his right arm remains permanently disabled. It cost him a limb. But his heroic action saved the woman's life.
Coming up, a drunken burglar has trouble breaking into a liquor store. And an even harder time getting out. That's next on Most Shocking Robberies and Holdups.
Fort Worth, Texas. An intruder prepares to break into Paul's liquor store through the ceiling duct. There's one problem. He's been drinking. With all he's got, the man finally reaches the roof. Inside, a cascade of ceiling tiles rains down. But the culprit's hope for an easy entry falls through. Booze and burglary just don't mix. Insulation cushions his landing, but not the bottles that drop on his head. Feeling no pain, the man shakes off the fall. He grabs a shopping cart and strolls through the aisles, loading it with liquor. Then he empties the register and grabs a few packs of smokes. Satisfied with his take, he's ready to leave. But there's another problem. These are heavy-duty doors with bulletproof glass. He tries smashing his way out with a dolly. No luck. Time for plan B. The man decides to go out the way he came in. He climbs a ladder. But he still hasn't sobered up. He slips and falls onto a row of bottles. Defeated, the master thief finally gives up his quest. He fires up a smoke and waits for the police. They arrive at the door moments later and order him onto the floor. The bouncing burglar is now headed to jail after his plans to pull off the perfect liquor heist came crashing down.
These are some of the most shocking robberies and holdups ever caught on tape. They are stark evidence of the lengths to which criminals will go and the challenges faced by law enforcement to meet them every step of the way.